This is Counselor Paulson.
Paulson is on, as well as Counselor Beyondich on the phone line.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Virginia City Council meeting. This is a regularly scheduled council meeting. I will call this meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, January 26th, 2021. The time is 5:30 p.m. Pam, would you please take the roll call?
Booth,
Ready?
Present.
Baraboo,
Present.
Greenleaf,
Present.
Johnson,
Here.
Present.
Counselor Johnson,
I'm here again.
Paulson,
Present.
Beyondich,
Present.
Baranzelli,
Present.
Murphy.
Present. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. And for those who are listening at home, welcome. And I'd just like to indicate that on the phone in Zoom today, we have two city councilors, Councilor Paulson and Councilor Beyondich. We also have our city attorney representative, Bhupesh Patni, as well as individuals from Friends of the Greenhouse who'll be making a presentation to us this evening. Also in the room today, we have Chris Johnson, administrative staff and IT person who's taking the place of Britzy Bennis, who's out on a leave. We have Sherry Erickson, our finance director. We have Brian Silber, our park and rec director. And we have John Sullivan, our community development director. So, or planner, excuse me. So is anybody else on the line, Chris? Jody Grebanowski, the library director. Okay, those are the Friends of the Greenhouse representatives. Very good, thank you. And Eric Wedge from DSGW. Okay. And Britt C. Bennis, our city administrator, who's zooming in remotely. So we'll move to item 4 on the agenda, which is a public forum. We have nobody in the audience that would like to address the council this evening. Other than the scheduled speakers this evening, do we have anybody on the line that wants to address the council? Seeing none, we'll go to item 5, the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a counselor or a citizen of the City of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval corrections of the minutes of the regular meeting that was held January 12, 2021. Item 5.2 is the adoption of Finance Resolution Number 21-002, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3, approve the travel request for Nora Burr of the Police Department to attend the DMT-G certification in St. Paul, March 15th through the 18th, 2021, at a cost of $825. This is a budgeted item. Item 5.4, approve the 2021 kennel license for Jane Layton and doing business as Grooming by Jane. And finally, item 5.5, approve the 2021 on-sale and Sunday liquor license for Polly G's LLC, doing business as Polly G's. These are the items that are on the consent agenda today, looking for council action.
I will move the consent agenda.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve the consent agenda, supported by
Support.
Councilor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? The
Yes,
hearing.
please.
Yes, Councilor Beyondich, did you want to pull one of these items for discussion?
I would like to pull 5.2.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Councilor Beyondich would like to remove 5.2 from this moving forward. So I'm looking for a motion. I'm looking for the approval of item 5.1, 5.3, 5.4, and 5.5. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 5.2, Finance Resolution Number 21-002, the schedule of bills. Councilor Beyondich.
Thank you. I stopped in this morning, to look, and it's our credit card statement. I looked at the statement, and it's been paid. There are not all the reflections.
Councilor Beyondich, you've been breaking up. I would ask you to please repeat.
All of the receipts are not attached to the individual's credit cards of their portion of the statement.
Okay. Sherry, can you give Councilor Beyondich an answer to her concerns regarding this issue? This happens on an occasion, and could you give us an idea of the process there? What the question is it Councilor Beyondich, that the receipts just aren't attached to the bills? Is that correct? To the statements?
Correct. I'm not able to see what was purchased, and because the receipts are not attached to the statements
Okay, thank
for
you.
the individuals that hold the credit cards.
All right, thank you. Sherry Erickson, our Finance Director. Sherry?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Councilor Beyondich, I do not believe that the Elon credit card service is on this bill run. So I don't believe that that has been paid yet. Usually, the department heads have been directed to turn their invoices or their receipts into the city administrator, Britt C. So it's very possible that Britt has those receipts in her office right now and will be reconciling the credit card. I can't speak for Britt, but that's usually the process, Mayor.
Thank you. And this goes on the next bill run, is that correct?
Yes, it is not on this bill run.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Beyondich, does that answer your question? It'll be going on the next bill run, and the receipts should be attached for the next finance approval.
That is fine. So this is a wire electronic pay on this credit card member service. So has that been paid for? The statement that I looked at, has that bill been paid?
Well, I'll have to refer you to Sherry Erickson once again, because I don't know, or we don't know what specific statements you were looking at, so I would refer that back to Sherry.
I will have to, if we can get the information, I don't have what Counselor Beyondich has in front of her, and I will get that information for you.
Okay, so, but this would be for the next bill run. And so what we're asking to approve is finance resolution number 21-002. This isn't part of the bill run, so this would be an item for the next discussion, for the next approval at the next council meeting. Is that correct?
I believe that, once again, I don't know what Counselor Beyondich is, which invoice she is looking at, but I do believe that the one that was paid on January 20th, ACH or wire transferred, the receipts would have been in, because the process is that department heads are to turn in the receipts to Britt,
Right.
the
Okay.
administrator, and then we process.
Okay, very good, thank you. Counselor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'm confused as to why, are we not paying bills that we need to look at this at the council level on a regular basis, or is there misspending of money? I'm curious to know why this question is being brought here to staff who don't know, who don't have the answers in front of them because they don't know the question that's coming. So Councilor Beyondich, do you have a concern that there's misspending amongst the staff, or what's your concern?
Well, I've been following this for a while, and I on it regularly, but when I do check on it, I don't. I mean, once in a while, I find things that the receipts aren't there, and my concern is when we get a credit card statement, every receipt needs to be attached to that statement before it is paid. So is this what I see today from 120 electronic wire transfer to card member service for $1,490.29? That has been paid. And if that is the case, when I look at that statement and I look at the people who hold that credit card, the receipts are not there. And I know we've had meetings on this, so I don't understand why that's not in line with what we've talked about at previous meetings.
Counselor Johnson?
Councilor Beyondich, did you ask the staff today when they could have done the research and bring it forward tonight? I guess that's what I'm looking at, is if we're looking for answers, I think it would behoove all of us, if you had that concern earlier, then Sherry could have had the answer. You know, I don't understand the calling out of it in this setting as opposed to getting the answers and knowing, you know, with Britt being gone, we've established that she literally approves every single receipt and she makes sure that happens. And with her not being here to specifically say, and it sounds like you're looking at a document, and I wish I had that document here to look at too, so I could see what you were referring to. So I know that you brought this up before, and I know we've had discussions, and I was under the impression there was no issues with any of the staff, and if there are, I'd like to see that being solved instead of not having the information here tonight. If we need to refer it back to the committee on next Tuesday, so we can all look at the statements and all look at the receipts, I'd be more comfortable having a discussion about also being able to see it. So I guess I'm just hoping that we can make that motion forward, because I don't see, if they're not there, we're going to get dinged on the audit, and they're going to tell us straight up, this isn't happening. So if it's a payment that's going to happen right now, then I would assume that we're not paying it if we're not following the protocol, because the bills come in and they're not paid immediately, are they, Sure? I mean, is there some lag time between when whomever opens up the bill, then the bill goes to Britt, and then Britt collects things? It's not, the bill didn't come today and we're paying it today.
Correct.
There's some time, correct? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So for Counselor Beyondich's question, you can get her answer for her in that regard for that. But in this particular instance, with respect to what's on the city council for approval, it's the bill run in which this receipt and this bill isn't on this run. So we'll look at that, get the question that she wants answered. I do know that the process moving forward, our audit has always showed that we're in compliance. We do this thing, there's a lag time, and that's what it is in many respects. You get the credit card is charged, whether it's appeal or whatever, the receipt comes back, it's attached, and it might take a delay in which to do so, but we've never had an issue with respect to loss of finances or anything in that regard. It's always been, taken care of. So I would ask that item 5.2, which is the adoption of finance resolution number 21-002, schedule of bills, looking for a motion to move this approval. Councilor Baraboo.
I was going to have a discussion before we went to that motion, if I can. You didn't see my light. What I'm looking at here, and Maya, you need to understand that when we look at these bill runs, if you don't give us a page number, if you have a problem with the bill run, we don't know where you're talking or what you're talking about, because there's 20 pages to this bill run. And I need to know the page and what item you're looking at. If it's something outside of this bill run, it may not have been paid exactly right from what Sherry said. So if it's not on this run, we know everything on this run has been double checked. And that's what I look at. I don't look at the individual stuff. I assume that the staff has looked at all of it and he has done the proper authorization before they give us a bill run. You understand where I'm coming from? I don't know what page you're looking at, if it's on this run even.
Yeah, according to Sherry, it's not on the run. It'll be on the next bill run. So I think this is always handled, as it always has been, at the administrative level. And if there's a lag time between the attachments, this is a process that moves forward. It gets taken care of. So at the council level, it should have already been resolved. So it's not until the next bill run that the question with respect to this particular item is needed to be discussed. So I am looking for a motion to move the adoption of finance resolution number 21-002, the schedule of bills.
Also move, Mayor.
Moved by Councilor Baraboo and supported by Councilor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please, Pam.
Boo,
Aye.
Oh, I'm not catching you, Pam. I'm not catching you, but now I did. Aye.
Freely,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich,
No.
Johnson,
Yes.
Berenzelli,
Turn on your mic. Turn on your mic.
Yes.
Closer.
Huffy.
Aye. Motion passes 6-1. Okay, thank you. We'll move to item 6, appearances. Under item 6.1, we do have a presentation to be made by Zoom with the Friends of the Greenhouse via Zoom. And I see on our chart we have Cheryl Weepa, I think it's Jim Brown as well. Okay, so I'm looking for the Friends of the Greenhouse. Whoever's going to speak on behalf of them, please state your name for the minutes and for the record, and welcome to the City Council meeting. Cheryl, can you hear us? Hello, Cheryl.
watch.
Okay, Kathy, are you on the line?
Hello, my name is Kathy Cody.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm president of the Friends of the Greenhouse. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So on behalf of the Friends of our brochure, which kind of has a history, I'd like to go a little more depth in history. That frog was started in 1997 by Marilyn Swanson to assist Dave Conan, a horticulturist who retired in 2014. In January of 2015, Frog took over maintenance of the plants, which includes repotting, pruning, watering, fertilizing, purchasing, soil, pots, plants, and tools. We have expenditures of approximately $500 or $5,000 per year. We get our money by hosting fundraisers. We have a Christmas open house, a weekend of adult and children's activities. We have a Green Envy in March. We have plant sales, also a junk teak. We also keep the doors open to the public Saturday and Sunday, 12 to 4, with one of our 12 volunteer greeters. We have a total of 130 Frog members. Visitors previous in 2018, we had approximately 385. In 2019, 335. 2020, not real valid numbers. Our volunteer hours total range from a low in the winter of 45 hours per month to a high in the fall of 98 to 133 hours per month. Projects that we have done included 2 water features, a fish pond and a vortex pool. We added garden furniture, lighting, installation, upgrade, painting to spruce up the walls, grow lights in North Hall. The city also provided new benches for us. We also installed a new bathroom in our main greenhouse, which is handicap accessible. In 2013, we had a collaboration with the University of Minnesota consultants for a new foundation in the main greenhouse, cement covering up actually what was a dirt floor. Also some new gas boilers. In 2017, there was a request for proposals to replace the roof. In 2015 and 2016, we had large plant losses due to the roof panels being blown off due to high winds. Collaborations that we have had, we collaborate with the 4-H, who uses a portion of the north house. Also, they have a garden on the south side of the west entrance. They start seeds and have a 4-H garden out there. They also, along with city help, provided coverings for our greenhouse to save on heating. We have collaborated with students groups from the Virginia Elementary, several years of seed starting before Chris Holmes retired. We also collaborate with Best Metza. We provide space so they can grow seedlings and also have winter storage for their gardens. We've collaborated with Bridge to Independence, students watering and cleaning, RSVP, which is a senior adult volunteers through AOA, fountain restoration with Brewfest. We have yoga groups coming in, also greens, which we grow throughout the greenhouse. Our future plans at the greenhouse include labeling and inventorying of plants for insurance purposes. We are also starting pollination in monarch gardens. We took over the in-ground beds by the west entrance. We'd like to continue collaborations with schools, community groups, and any organizations. And in summary, we're an entirely voluntary organization. And from our perspective, we're never meant to be a long-term solution to the greenhouse. We'd like to collaborate with the city to learn what your intentions are for the greenhouse and possibly get grants, grant writing, and additional fundraising efforts to restore the greenhouse. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Kathy. I'll reserve my comments. We'll go to the council first. Is any council person that's present at this time like to make a comment or have any questions for Frog, for the Friends of the Greenhouse? Councilor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. Prior to last year, I was spending at least one evening a week there, having some time there. If I remember right, 2 summers ago, the doors were open all week long. Is it, Brian?
Yes.
We had gotten the doors and they were open, and the only reason they weren't open last summer was because of restrictions put in place by higher ups. Otherwise, the doors would have been open every day, 7 days a week. So I just want to clarify that too, that while it's staffed on some set Fridays and Saturdays, the doors last summer were open and there wasn't any noticeable, or 2 summers ago, there wasn't any noticeable vandalism or other challenges, which we were very cognizant of. So I appreciate the work that goes in there, and I don't see, the Friends of the Greenhouse is an organization. You said you have 130 members. How many of your members are active, like do something on a regular basis at the greenhouse?
About 15.
Okay, because I am a member of the Friends of the Greenhouse, or I was. I don't think I got a bill last year. I might need to send money in, which they're always looking for. It goes to good stuff. And do you have a liaison that attends Parks and Recs meeting on a regular basis?
No, we've been dealing with Brian, and we've also dealt with Britt. But other than that, that's it.
So so your question was, what is the, could you repeat your question, please, so I can understand?
Oh, the last statement, you mean?
Yeah, what is your ask of the city?
Well, just to see what your intentions were for, our roof is leaking. We are losing panels. A lot of the wood that is the framework of that greenhouse was silver painted wood, which it was assumed that was metal, and we are losing the wood. And we would like to know what your intentions are of basically keeping that greenhouse viable.
My understanding is that 2 summers ago, where you placed a portion of the ceiling. Last summer, we report, like we can't just do it all at once, but it is being budgeted and we are working towards roof replacement. Sherry's nodding her head at me. I remember us having that discussion in here, that we are actively doing that. We are actively, those are things that I know we've discussed in this room. There's been millions of dollars put into that building over the last 10 or 15 years. There's $10,000 each year we put in, Sherry handed me a piece of paper, towards the upkeep of the building, plus the city pays all the utilities. And Brian indicated last year the savings by just having partial roof plastic it over, and this year, it's my understanding that we have the entire main greenhouse and the north greenhouse. So I'm guessing we're seeing significant savings that way. So, if there's more specific stuff that we need to do, I think we should have a discussion. And I appreciate that you're working with Brian and Britt. And I know when I was a part, there's a discussion about hiring somebody to work at the greenhouse, and that's not realistic with our budget constraints. As we do, we try to keep it shoveled, I believe. I know I spent a lot of winter afternoons shoveling because I was only open once or twice a week. So whoever shows up shovels. It's just part of volunteering.
Right.
And I know it's been a hard year fundraising for everybody, so I respect that. So I don't see us having any major negative things happening in the few years. We need to keep it open. I will be a fierce proponent of that as long as I live in the city. So those are my thoughts and my comments on this. I think it's a great thing. I know we've done a great job of cross-advertising up at the fountain. We reminded people when we could to go down to the greenhouse and vice versa. So those are my comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Kathy, I think I can speak for all of us, or that, we've done, this organization has saved the greenhouse and the plants. You've done yeoman's work and tried to get this accomplished. The countless hours of volunteers is indicative of what the passion that you have for that greenhouse. I would urge you to continue to work with our Park and Rec Director, Brian Silber. If there's anything that we can do on a structural basis, because we own that facility, we'll do what we can to protect your plants and keep this process moving forward, help you apply for grants in that regard. And I think what you're asking us to do, and we should really have a discussion as what the long-term plans are for the city with respect to the greenhouse. And so I think that bodes for a discussion at the committee level or staff level, along with representatives from the greenhouse, to accomplish and work on a plan for the long term. Does that make sense, Kathy?
Yes, it does. Can we possibly get together with you and discuss this? Our board.
Sure, we can arrange for a meeting. I would ask, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Let me get a hold of you. Let me talk to the board and let me get a hold of you. It would be great to get together and discuss this. You can come to the greenhouse, and we can, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, we can certainly do that if you would
Is
like
that
to talk to your board, and we'll arrange to have a meeting at your convenience.
Sounds good. I will contact the board and then contact you.
Okay, thank you. Before you go, Councilor Paulson, do you have any questions or comments with respect to the presentation made today by Friends of the Greenhouse?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I really want to say thank you. And I had no idea that there were that many volunteers, and I just really appreciate all the work that everyone does. The one question that I is the Frog Board a 501c3?
Yes, we are.
And I don't know if you've been made aware. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Okay, I apologize.
That's fine.
I don't know if you've been made aware that St. Louis County right now has funding available for nonprofits to apply for the CARES funding for COVID-19. And I don't know if that's something that that you can apply for or have looked into, but I would encourage you to look into that.
Okay.
And
Can I
think
contact you on how to do that?
yes, I believe so.
Certainly can.
I do have the link, and our city administrator sent that out. So I do have the link, and you're more than welcome to get in touch with me for sure.
And who is this?
This is Councilor Julianne Paulson.
Okay. I will get a hold of you.
That
And thank
sounds
you very
great.
much. We will definitely pursue that.
Sounds great. Thank you again. And thank you for all the work you've put in.
Thank you. The board thanks you.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. Councilor Bionich, any questions, comments?
Thank you. I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment that I do know how hard all people from Friends of the Greenhouse do work to keep that building up and to keep everything running. And I hope that we can, as a city, do whatever we can do and help them in any way that we can to keep that building open for all of the public to enjoy, since we just have the fountain running again and it draws so many people in. So I thank them for all the hard work that they do there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bionich. Councilor Baraboo?
Yeah, Kathy, this is Counselor Baraboo. I just have one suggestion for you. When you set up a time for looking for a meeting with us, go through our Park and Rec Director, Brian Stober, because he knows more about that facility than we do as counselors.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Baraboo. Kathy, thank you very much. Anything else you'd like to add?
No,
Well, I applaud your passion, and I hope you continue to have that high level of support for the greenhouse. So we'll try to do everything we can to help you out.
well, we do have a flower show this spring that we were planning on extending an invitation to you all to walk through. You know,
Oh.
even though we're still closed, you know, due to COVID, we're not comfortable opening yet to the public. But,
Wo-
you know, we're taking it on a month by month. You know, comfort for our volunteers, comfort for the board members, and comfort for our visitors.
Absolutely.
But we will be having a walkthrough invitation for you all, you know, to come and see what we're doing. And
Well, thank you very much, Kathy. And Cheryl, you're on the line, and any other member who's on the Friends of the Greenhouse, thank you so much for all your hard work, and we look forward to that, scheduling that meeting in the future.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Move to item 7, unfinished business. We have no unfinished business. So we'll move to item 8, discussion items. Item 8.1 is the discussion for the request for proposals or RFPs to be put out for hotel facility near the Miners Event and Convention Center. In your packet, you have request for development proposals for design, financing, construction, and operation of a hotel facility. And I open that up for discussion at the council level today. Brian, would you like to come forward and give us and the general public a little information about how we got here today and what the goal and objective and the purpose of this is?
Certainly. Thank you for having me here again this evening. In your packet is a RFP that staff has put together to release to the public to hopefully attract interest for a hotel to be developed in or around the Miner site. As you are well aware, we have had one potential developer already come speak with us. Would love to move forward with them. However, before we do so, it is only appropriate that we are very transparent in our government and that we do release an RFP so that if there are any other individuals that have an interest or have yet to express an interest, that they are given or they are afforded the opportunity to submit a proposal to them. Would also remind you that anything that the one developer that has expressed an interest in the site has provided us is proprietary at this time, so we should not be sharing any of that information.
Well, thank you, Brian. If we just stay up here for one moment, we may have some more questions. The request for proposal, I think it's prudent for us to move forward to look at other potential development opportunities for a hotel in that regard. I think the challenge on the request for proposal is going to be who may be interested in developing and putting together. It's going to be difficult for them to put a proposal together, so they're going to need a little bit more time than what, and I know we're trying to be time sensitive, but we might have to look a little bit farther down the road for a variety of reasons. One is, they're going to want to know, the cost of the property and what we're exactly looking for. And so do we want to, all those things, I know some of that's listed out in the request for proposal. So I think we have to give them a little bit more time to respond. And so they may have some questions before they submit their proposal. For the example, how much are we asking for the property? Where do we plan on building the property? Is it, is going to be attached to the miners and all those kind of things. So I think it's important for us to give them time. Your thoughts, Brian?
There is, in any RFP proposal, there is the question and answer time frame that is in there. Anybody who receives a copy of the RFP would definitely be able to ask questions and receive answers back in a timely manner. And I would think that part of their RFP would be whether or not that they would be interested in purchasing property or looking for the city to work with them in any way in property acquisition.
Thank you very much, Brian. And what you're asking for us today is discussing and looking to approve the staff's request to move this request for proposal as soon as we can.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments, or action by the council? Councilor Baraboo?
Mayor, I don't think this is an unreasonable time frame, the March 1st, to get submissions of the proposals. We're looking here that this particular project is supposed to be done this fall, and probably by September or October. And then we
Yes.
got to tear down the other one, and any developer is going to want to be able to start as quickly as possible. Otherwise, they get way behind the mix ability to have all these functions that we plan on having. So the sooner they can get in there, the better off. I don't have a problem with RFPs, but I think the time frame is fine.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Baraboo. Councilor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'd like to hear from Mr. Sullivan on this. This is your forte on the RFPs and stuff. What do you feel about the timeframe and the ability of people to answer the RFP substantially to move forward?
Welcome, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, and thank you, Councilor Johnson. It is a tight time frame, but I think based on the schedule for completing the MEC and where we're at and the need to move in an expedited manner, I think it's prudent that we move this way. I don't think we really have the luxury of waiting too long. So I was in agreement with the tight time frame, but I think we might. I'd be surprised if we didn't get some kind of feedback from potential interested developers that's a real tight time frame, and if they submit something to us that they don't know the answer to, or they can't get that answer within a reasonable time, I think we need to take that into consideration.
If we set the date now, are we able to extend, if we realize there's only one or two RFPs that come in, can we extend it for everybody? Or do we have options at the end of this basically month? I just had it with a month timeline. Do we have some latitude to request more information or that kind of stuff?
Yes, the submission deadline for the proposals in the RFP is March 1st at 4 p.m. And if staff saw that there was a need to potentially extend it, we would probably come to the council for official action to amend or extend that RFP. And that, could be for an unspecified additional 2 weeks, month, I don't know. But I highly doubt we would be extending it for, a significant period beyond March 1st.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Councilor Friedli?
Yeah, I think it's an important thing to do. I was the one that talked about that after we had met with that first developer, and I thought it would be a great idea for us to have some other options to look at, some other proposals to look at. And most importantly, from my standpoint, what I'm going to be looking for is a proposal to the city that's going to indicate what the benefit to the city will be as opposed to the benefit of the developer. And that's critical in my estimation. I mean, we do have land that we have to approve for them to be able to utilize, whether we convey that or sell that. There's decisions that need to be made from the city standpoint that I think are critical to how it'll complement what we're building over there with the MEC and the activities that are going to be presented there, and how we'll be able to benefit as a city from these developments, as opposed to them telling us how they're going to need to build something specifically to benefit themselves or their profit margin. So that's what I would be very cognizant of. Thank you.
And I think that's why I mentioned maybe that you indicated, John, that it is a tight time frame, and so with the ability to extend if necessary to answer those specific questions that Councilor Friedli had and I did as well. Let's go to the phone and see, Councilor Paulson, do you have any questions or comments about the RFP that's in your packet?
No, no, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the discussion, and if we can maybe work with that date, even if, there are submissions and they need more time, I think that's reasonable, but I'm comfortable with the way it looks.
Thank you, Counselor Paulson. Counselor Beyondich?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Bearable?
Yeah, we have to make sure, looking at past RFPs, that if we have the RFPs come in and they're before March 1st, we can't open it up to any other ones after March 1st. If they haven't finished, maybe we can extend a little bit for those individuals that submitted something anyway. But you can't do that because it's unfair competition to people that may be bidding on this project in the future once the selection process is done. So we have to be careful of that. We don't want to get into a catch-22.
Yeah, I think we'll be working with our city attorney in that regard too, with respect to the time frame and what the limitations are. That's a very valid point for us to consider, Councilor Bearable. So we're looking for some council action regarding this RFP. Councilor Johnson.
I will move that we authorize staff to post the presented RFP in the timeframe stated.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve the submission for publication, the RFP for the design for the request for development proposals for the design, financing, construction, and operation of a hotel facility near the MEC. Is there support?
I'll support that.
I'll support.
Okay, support by almost everybody. Well, Councilor Paulson moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, John. Thank you, Brian. Okay, we'll move to item 8.2 under discussion is adopt a resolution accepting the quote from ACCT for asbestos removal at 231 2nd Street North. And you have that proposal in your packet. And it is the resolution is to accept the bid from ACCT Incorporated for $3,900. There were two quotes, and the low bid was ACCT, the amount of $3,900. Councilor Johnson.
Is there a reason why they're so far apart that do we know? Usually they're pretty close to each other when we get them.
Yeah, I don't know why there's such a big difference, but there's been occasion in the past where there has been a significant difference between the two, and I think staff through our engineering department, through SEH as well, would call them back and indicate, make sure that they're both on the same page, but they both got the same bid proposals, and so I don't know why that is, Councilor Johnson. But the recommendation at committee level was to accept the bid from ACCT for $3,900.
I don't recall discussing this at Committee of the Whole.
Well, let's find out.
I'm not comfortable with the $4,200. The bit much is too much.
Okay, well, I'm looking for a motion on the floor, one way or the other, to accept the bid for $3,900 for ACCT.
Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Friedlieb.
so is this not pretty standard operating procedure when we have a property that needs to be demolished, that the city does have to do the asbestos removal? And do we incur those costs, or are those costs reimbursable through IRRR or anything?
If we own the building, we keep the property, or it's our cost. If it's a fire that burned down, we try to recover that from the insurance company. We hold 25% of the cost associated with that. But I would refer, Chris, do you have an answer for Councilor Friedlieb in that regard?
And is this a property we own currently? I'm not sure of that, to be honest.
I think this was it's a corner lot. And there was a demo, I think. And that demo was, I think the property was turned over to us. And I think that there was an interested party and a nonprofit to buy that piece of property. So the asbestos removal will be from us, but we would then apply to the IRRB for reimbursement for that for urban renewal or blight remediation.
And could I ask Sherry, or do we budget accordingly for these kinds of costs that we incur?
Sherry?
It is hard to do. We'll just have to take it under contingency fund.
But Pam, go ahead.
Yes, I just spoke with Bill Pettis regarding the
Can't hear you.
He said it's
Can't hear you.
the cost of,
We can't hear you.
hear me, okay. I'm not sure why. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm way up to my speak. He said it's basically the cost of doing business and the price can be different because of how busy one company is versus another. That's why the price could be so far apart.
Okay. Well, it's for asbestos removal, so those are the bids. So did you get an answer to your question there, Councilor Freely?
To some degree, but I guess, like I said, there's a standard operating procedure to some degree with regard to these types of properties in town, and it's kind of our obligation to have those removed so that we can look forward to further development that would eventually, hopefully, benefit the city. And then at that time, we would be reimbursed once that property is developed. I know that could be a long time span, but the reality is we need to get these things done.
Well, this has been standard practice in the past, and I think Councilor Bearable can allude to that. And then, once the asbestos is done, whatever the demo is, we don't have to wait until the property is developed before we request the reimbursement from the IRRB for the recovery of the costs associated with asbestos removal.
I would move to go ahead and move forward with the accepting the quote from ACCT for the asbestos removal at the lowest.
The price of $3,900.
I'll support, Mayor.
Moved by Councilor Freelieb to approve the quote from ACCT for asbestos removal 231 2nd Street North, supported by Councilor Baraboo. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move to item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, a street and alley committee that was held on January 15th, 2021. And I'll turn this part of the council meeting over to the chair of the street and alley, Councilor Baraboo, Vice Mayor Baraboo.
Thank you, Mayor. Pam, can you hear me okay?
I don't know if you can hear me though.
Now we can.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yes, sound is great right now.
Okay, thank you. We had a meeting on the January 15th at 9:08 a.m. We called the meeting to order for Street and Alley. We had Mr. George Eilertson from Northland Securities there, and he reviewed proposals of information on the bond issue for the 2021 street and infrastructure financing. We'd have to use our annual allotment of $650,000 that we get in state aid dollars per year will be needed to split between phase 1 and 2. We're going to be splitting this project into phases from 21 to 22 and 23 to 24. Financing package would be done once the city receives the construction bids. And once we get this first portion through, we're going to be going pretty quickly out to get construction bids for this project. We've got all the paperwork done on these projects already, so it's just a matter of getting going. it's recommended that the Phase 1 to use $125,000 per year of state aid funds, which is a combination of principal and interest. This would be approximately $2 million of state aid over the life of the bond, which we're looking at 15 years. So with that information, I will move to approve the, oops, I'm sorry, that was just for the bond council part. Okay, I can guess I can make that motion ahead of time on that we're looking to approve this part of the projects for the GO bonds on this project to approve, and this is the motion, to approve dividing the 23 street project financing into two phases, Phase 1 and 2, and to bid as two separate contracts with one vendor. I think we need 21 and 22 in there also. Am I correct on that, Mayor?
I believe it is, but I believe in your report, based on the meeting, it said that in this particular instance, you were discussing it for further recommendation and no action was taken at this meeting.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I think we would look at maybe making that recommendation moving forward. Once, I think you were looking for some additional information in that regard before we move.
You are correct. I got a step ahead of myself here. The second part was the part where we're going to be looking at dividing the 23 and 24 project into two phases. That's what we're going to need, and get a couple separate contracts with one vendor.
Okay.
And we did move that, so that's what I'm actually looking for right now.
So would you repeat the motion once again, Councilor Baraboo?
Yep. I'm going to move to approve dividing the 23 street project financing into two phases, Phase 1 and 2, and to bid as two separate contracts with one vendor.
A move by Councilor Baraboo. Is there support?
Support.
A support by Councilor Barnzelli.
Mayor,
Yes. Pam?
did we miss the proposed truck route?
Yeah, I did.
That's coming up.
I jumped to the motion on the finance stuff first.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll have to,
sounds good. I just,
we're going to go back to that, Pam. Thank you. So it's moved in support.
thank you.
Any further questions on this? You all should have gotten minutes on this after the meeting.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion in that motion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Councilor Gerbil.
Then we took a look, actually, we did this first, so I got a little bit ahead of myself here. We took a look at the project of the demolition of the Roosevelt School, and we needed to approve a truck route for the demolition of the Roosevelt School once the school starts their project at tearing down. I believe it's going to be 2022, if I remember correctly, because we had a street that might interfere, but now we do not, since they're going a year behind us on our street projects. And we've approved the truck route. I don't have the map with me right now, but it's basically the Second Street, the one way that goes east all the way to Second Avenue. They can go either south to get rid of demolitions and go north around the flyway to 9th Street and go out that direction, or they can use an alternate going out 8th Street, depending where they're going to get rid of their demolition materials. If I recall, that's the auspices of the map. So we just want a motion to approve the proposed truck route, and the Kraus Anderson will be notifying anybody and everything when this comes to fruition that are going to be contractors on that tear down and demolition. So we'll keep them off of our new streets.
Okay, so under item 9.1B, you're looking for a motion under 9.1A, you're looking for a motion to approve the proposed truck route for the demolition project of the Roosevelt High School.
That is correct.
Moved by Councilor Freely. Is there support? A support by Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we already did 9.1B. Anything else, Counselor Bearable?
The only thing we took a look, we had a resident of Virginia come to us and talk about some parking issues on 10th Street South. We're in the process, I believe we're going to be setting up a meeting with that individual. We have not done that. We've been doing some background work, but that'll be coming. That's it, Mayor.
Yes, thank you. And in answer to that, we've been taking some collective data and looking at the parking patterns in that area of his concern for the last at least 1 week. And so we'll have some more statistical data for your street and alley meeting.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. And you adjourn the meeting at 10:03 a.m. Okay, we'll move to item number 9.2, the Building and Grounds Committee meeting that was held on January 15th, 2021. And I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to the Building and Grounds Chairperson, Carl Barnzelli, Councilor Barnzelli.
Thank you,
Counselor?
Mayor. Buildings and Grounds met on January 15th at 10:30 a.m. Councilor Beyondich is also on that committee with us, with Councilor Friedlib and myself. Brian Silber, Arts and Recreation Director, presented information on the request for proposal for the audio-visual service at the MECC. This will include all sound systems, monitors, and speakers throughout the facility. It was moved and supported to approve, authorized to request a proposal for the visual services for the MECC,
Hey.
and it was carried.
Okay.
Brian?
Under 9.28, Councilor Barnzelli, you moved at your committee to authorize the request for proposals for audiovisual services at the MEC. So we're looking
Yes.
for approval at this level. So we'll look for additional information, Councilor Barnzelli, from our Park and Rec Director, Brian Silber. Brian?
Yes, at this point, we're asking the council now to approve for us to put out an RFP for audiovisual services for the MEC. This would be all of the projectors, the screens, the speakers, and everything that goes with audio and visual needs for putting on an event inside the facility. This does not have anything to do with security systems, as was one of the questions at the committee level.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Freely?
I probably was told this already, but can you refresh my memory as to what the approximate budgeted amount is to be able to pay for this system?
Approximately $150,000.
Okay, thank you. I would make that motion to move forward with the request for proposals for the audiovisual services for the MEC.
Councilor Friedlieb moves to authorize the request for proposals for the audiovisual services for the MEC. Is there support?
I'll support, Mayor.
I'll support.
Support by Councilor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Councilor Barnzelli?
Next item, moved by Councilor Freelib and supported by Councilor Beyondich to approve the development agreement with Joseph B. and Kristen Walls conveying 329 Chestnut Street. The motion was carried. This is a vacant building on Chestnut Street. They've been looking at it for some time. And Brian Silber, Parks and Rec Director. That's a different one.
Just one moment, if we may, Councilor Barnzelli, will, under item 9.2B,
Yep.
we're going to have to officially make that motion in support
For
that,
support for that.
at your committee level meeting. So we'll be looking for a motion that was referred from your committee from Counselor Freely and Counselor Beyondich to approve the development agreement with Joseph B. and Christine Walls conveying 329 Chestnut Street to them for economic development. So we look for that official motion and authorization at council level.
I would go ahead and make that motion. My only concern when we discussed it was that Joseph is also the person that just purchased F&D Meats and is involved in a new business. Britt did assure us, though, that Joseph and Christine are still interested in the development of this project as well on Chestnut Street. So I think it's advantageous to the city to move forward with this development agreement and allow them to proceed with their project.
And as you discussed it at the committee level meeting, you reviewed the project development agreement and are comfortable with the mechanisms in place moving forward. So it's been moved by Councilor Freely to approve the development agreement with Joseph B. and Christine Walls on 329 Chestnut Street. Is there support? Is there support?
I'll support, Mayor.
A support by Councilor Baraboo. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Bronzelli?
Mayor, should I read that next paragraph, or are we going down?
No, go ahead. Yep.
Brian Silber reviewed the lease agreement between AEOA and the city for the.
No, I think we're back under, if I may refer you back, Councilor Bronzelli,
Yep. We're up
to
at
just
the-
under 9.2B with respect to the memorandum of understanding.
I went too deep. Brian Silber, Parks and Rec Director, presented the memorandum of understanding between the city and Friends of the Greenhouse. He noted that it is an agreement outside of the responsibilities at the greenhouse located at 711 9th Avenue North in Alcott Park. Councilor Friedlib suggested the city should budget funds to help with the administration of the greenhouse. Councilor Beyondich also asked if the park employees can assist with anything that would be needed at the greenhouse, and if anyone has training in the pesticide area. Mr. Seelib noted that the staff is trained and areas of the pest mitigation, but not presented that are special plants.
Yeah, I think it was Brian Silber, our Park Rec Director. Brian, you have any additional information with respect to this before we move?
No, at this point, we're just looking for the city council to move to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Friends of the Greenhouse. They had a wonderful presentation today showing what they have been doing, and was brought up that the city does budget $10,000 per year for the continued maintenance and upkeep of the building. So we would just like to, staff would like to recommend to you today to approve this memorandum of understanding with the Friends of the Greenhouse for this current year.
Okay, thank you. And the memorandum of understanding that was presented at the Building and Grounds meeting to the committee is agreeable for both parties?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Looking for council action. Councilor Freely?
I'd make that motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Friends of the Greenhouse for the use of Alcott Park Greenhouse. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support for discussion?
Support by Councilor Johnson. So it was moved and supported, moved by Councilor Freely, supported by Councilor Johnson, to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Friends of the Greenhouse for use of Alcott Park for the next current year. Is there additional discussion? Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a similar MOU that we have with the senior citizens too, right? Like the city owns the building and the seniors do the maintenance and the regular care stuff. And anytime there's anything big that needs light bulbs changed, then we call in the city staff and they take care of that Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm comfortable with this, and the Friends of the Greenhouse really manage the plants themselves. They do a pretty good job of taking care of it, and some of them winter their plants in the south greenhouse as well, so some of the very active members also have some benefits to utilizing that space, as the seniors have benefits to being able to gather and play pool and cards and all kinds of stuff. So I'm comfortable with this as it's presented.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Johnson. So it's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Counselor Barnzelli?
Thank you, Mayor. It was moved by Councillor Freelieb and supported by Councillor Beyondich to approve the memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, we just voted on that, so let's move to the next item under that.
With Brian?
Yes, correct.
Brian Silver reviewed the lease agreement between Arrowhead AEOA and the City of Virginia. The use of vacant land that is requested to currently community food forest located in the greenhouse. In order for AEOA to receive grant funding, a lease needs to be put in place. The lease is for 10 years period and the rent of $1 per year, payable on October 1st each year. The city attorney has also reviewed the lease agreement. So it's moved and supported. Councillor Freelieb and supported by Councillor Beyondich to approve the 10-year lease agreement with AEOA for the use of the portion of the city land at Alcott Park for the community food forest. This motion was carried.
Hey, Brian, anything else to add there?
Yes, as you are aware, one of the great things that we're doing with AEOA is the food forest. This one in Alcott Park is our second food forest here in Virginia. The first one is located over by Pine Mill Court next to the playground. Food forests are those trees that we do plant that produce fruit, such as your apple trees and various other hardwood trees that produce fruit. So we have created this new food forest just to the north side of the main greenhouse. That's between the greenhouse and the historic building. And in order for AEOA to continue to receive grant funds to maintain this and improve this area, they do need to have a lease. So we are recommending a 10-year lease.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you, Brian. And at the committee level, as Councilor Barnzelli indicated, that it was moved to approve this. So I'm looking for council action.
I'll go ahead and make that motion also for this 10-year lease agreement with the AEOA for the community food forest in Alcott Park.
A move by Councilor Freelieb. Is there support?
I'll support, Mayor.
Support by Councilor Bearable. Further discussion. Councilor Johnson.
Brian, could you repeat? I'm trying to visualize where this will be. Could you repeat that area?
Between the main greenhouse and the historic building. So you have the main greenhouse, the north greenhouse, then the historic building. So it's in that little cove right there.
Okay.
We have planted several varieties of apple trees.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. So it's been moved and supported to approve the 10-year lease agreement with the Arrowhead Economic Opportunity Agency for the use of a portion of the city land at Alcott Park for a community forest, and this will be for 10 years at least at $1 a year payable October 1st of each year. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
That concludes our report On January 15th, meeting adjourned at 10:50 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Barnzelli. So we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Committee of the Whole report that was held on January 19th, 2021. And I think Britt is on the line. Britt, would you like me to give this presentation of the Committee of the Whole? Okay, then I will do so. Okay, Committee of the Whole meeting was called to order at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, January 19th, with one counselor absent. There was an appearance by Ms. Mai Kai, project manager for NRRI. She gave an update on the sulfide reduction pilot study for the Virginia wastewater treatment plant that was to be done in 2020. It was delayed due to COVID, and NRRI is requesting approval to proceed with the project in 2021. Mai Kai gave a slideshow presentation through Zoom on the process of the sulfate study. They're also requesting a 5x5 storage area near the trailer that will be located at the treatment plant. The project is rescheduled for from April to August 2021. The project will not affect the city's current license with the MPCA. No costs will be incurred by the city. The testing is downstream of the digester, and all of the solids will be out of the city's digester and come back to NRRI for evaluation. So it has been moved and supported at committee level to approve the updated research agreement for the pilot program for the sulfate study by NRRI to begin April through August 2021 at the wastewater treatment plant. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councillor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Terry Nystrom, the chairperson for VITA, and Betsy Olivanti, representing Revive Virginia, presented information to the council on the VITA Task Force Downtown Survey results. Betsy Olivanti, Small Business Development Center, which is the SBDC, gave a year-end cap of the statistical data for 2020. VITA contributes $6,000 annually to the SBDC for their services, and that anybody in our community can utilize at no cost. Betsy Olivanti noted that 41 businesses in the Virginia vicinity participated in the program with a total of $1,497,232 for business in the city. Ms. Jody Grabowski, the library director, Grabanowski, the library director, gave a short presentation on the proposal to co-partner with the Lyric Center for the Arts on submitting an application for the NEA Big Read Grant. The grant ranges from $5,000 to $20,000, and this will be a collaborative effort between the library and the Lyric Center for the Arts. And so it was moved at committee level to approve the joint proposal for the Big Read Grant application between the Lyric Center and the Virginia Public Library. So I'm looking for a motion to approve at council level.
So moved.
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Councillor Paulson and supported by Councillor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. John Stordahl presented information regarding a request from the East Range Sportsmen's and Conservation Club for funds to construct a shelter at the skeet range. And this skeet range is located over in the Aurora area. A grant previously received from the Minnesota DNR does require matching funds. They are seeking funds from other cities in the area who have residents that participate on the trap and or skeet teams. The city attorney noted that the cities are under different laws regarding donations and use of public funds. Some additional investigation is being conducted and research by our city staff and the city attorney, and no action was taken at this meeting. Ms. Dana Haltonen, Virginia HRA, and Jesse Lind from the HRA, property manager at the Washington Manor, reviewed the proposed 2021 Washington Manor budget. It was noted that last year, the rent increase was 1.5%. The council had several questions regarding the budget. There was an extensive presentation made by Dana and her staff, and gave comparisons with other facilities. Councilor Johnson presented concerns with Mediacom and the increases for the cable services, which comes, at their will. So with the comparables and based upon the Mediacom agreement with he agrees with a 1% increase. So after a significant discussion and a rather impressive presentation made by the HRA regarding Washington Manor, it was moved and supported at committee level to approve the 1.5% increase in the monthly rate at Washington Manor budget. So I'm looking for council action.
Mayor, I'll move the 1.5% increase in the monthly rent at Washington Manor for the 2021 budget.
Moved by Councilor Baraboo. Is there support?
Support, Mayor.
Support by Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? A hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
No.
Pam, would you please take the roll call?
Mirabel,
Are we not rotating these votes now? Pam, are we not rotating votes?
sorry. Friedlieb,
Yes.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich, Beyondich,
Aye,
Johnson.
I'm here.
No.
Yes, I got that. Johnson?
No.
Okay. Barzelli,
Yes.
Coffee.
Aye. Motion passes 6-1. Thank you.
And I'm last there. Baraboo, aye.
Motion carries 6-1. Thank you. Okay, item 9.3D was moved and supported at committee level to allow the Virginia HRA to adjust cable rates increases as necessary as they occur over the fiscal year, so they don't have to come back to the council each time. It was moved and supported at committee level to give them that authority.
I will move that with the motion saying specifically as the increase by the cable company. There needs to be a direct correlation.
It's been moved by Councilor Johnson to give authority to the Virginia HRA to adjust the cable rates as they occur, right?
From the cable
From the
company.
cable company over the fiscal year. So as the cable company increases their rates, HRA has the authority to increase the residents' rates in a direct correlation to that.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Is there support?
All support for discussion.
A support by Councilor Freely for discussion. Further discussion, Councilor Freely.
I'm trying to clarify, but I remember that I think the recommendation was to separate this out from the increases that we had just approved. So to not couple those increases. Did that make sense? If I recall, it's like, it would have been an additional cost to them had we included this in the rate increase for the rent, or am I mistaken?
If I may clarify, Councilor Freely, the cable costs to the residents is separate from their monthly rent. So they pay the rental increase, and and of course, everybody has to have the Mediacom in their facility. So when they raise the rates for Mediacom, it's a separate increase. So it would be based on what we discussed at committee level, was a 1.5 increase for the rental, and separate in the event that the cable company raises their rates, the HRA would have the authority to raise it accordingly for each resident.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Dana Halton reviewed the proposed exterior improvements at the Washington Manor. 3 phases of work were presented to the council regarding the replacing of the decorative cornice, tuck pointing. Opinions of costs were received from the architect who completed the facility. They gave their opinion. There wasn't a quote. They just gave a estimate of their opinion, what it may cost. Regarding the facility's needs study for each of the 3 phases of repairs to the outside of the building. And there's no action taken at this meeting. Dana Halton will come back with some more specific information for the council to consider. Under a portion of the building and grounds, we discussed the proposed land license request between the city of Evelyn, Virginia, and Mr. Ted McHugh. This is with respect to the seaplane base. And now that the seaplane base has been turned over to the airport authority, it was privately owned, and Mr. McHugh had authority to use part of that as a driveway to get into his part of his garage and his residence. Attorney Brian Lindsay elaborated on the difference between a license versus an easement. It was noted to revert the request back to the Evelyn, Virginia Airport Authority for further review of the temporary land license with Mr. McHugh for the driveway access on the Sky Harbor seaplane-based property. So it has been moved and supported at committee level to table this request and refer back to the Virginia Evelyn Airport Authority for additional discussion and approval. So looking for a motion, or I was to table. Do I need a motion to table? I don't think I do. We don't have to take any action. Okay, thank you. City Administrator Britzy Bennis noted that the city had received 4 responses to our request for statements of qualification for the architectural and engineering services at the Public Safety Center. City Administrator Britzy Bennis suggested forming a committee to conduct formal interviews, which is the second step of this process. The mayor noted that the community development planner and a liaison of the building and grounds should have representation on the committee. That was just a suggestion on the part of the mayor. There was additional discussion. This will be a public meeting, but once the discussion was completed, I think Councilor Johnson had volunteered to serve as a representative as well. But it was moved under 9.3E, was moved and supported to appoint members of the Building and Grounds Committee as members to the Public Safety Architect Firm Selection Committee, as well as the appropriate city staff. Looking for a motion to approve at council level.
Also move that motion, Mayor.
A motion moved to approve by Councilor Baraboo. Is there support? Support by Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Brian Silber, Park and Rec Director, reviewed the request for professional services for the alcohol beverage concession services at the MEC. It was suggested that the only one vendor have the sole rights for serving alcohol at the concession stand and serving alcohol at events that may take place at the MEC. It also enables a revenue split for the MEC for any events that are scheduled there. And I think there's some additional information to be disseminated to the general public with regards to city events and those kind of things. So I refer additional information from our city Park and Rec Director, Brian Silber. Brian?
Yes, at this time, we are just looking to approve putting out the RFP so that those businesses that are able to receive a liquor license here in Virginia or a neighboring community can put together a proposal to be the alcohol vendor for the MEC.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Brian. So at the council level, it was moved and supported to authorize staff to obtain requests for proposals for the alcohol beverage concession services at the MEC. Looking for council action. Moved by Councilor Freely,
Support.
supported by Councilor Johnson, to authorize staff to obtain requests for proposal for the alcohol beverage concession service at the MEC. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Under personnel at the community hall meeting, there was some discussion about the hiring of 2 police officers. Under 9.3G, it was moved and supported at committee level to approve the recommendation to hire Patrol Officer Daniel Nyland and to offer a conditional offer of conditional employment and approve the agreement for a lateral transfer for both of them will say, with the correction of the minutes, will say that they are conditional officers at this time. So under 9.3G, looking for a council approval to hire Officer Dan Nyland as a conditional offer of employment with the agreement for a lateral transfer.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Johnson. Is there support?
I'll support, Mayor.
Support by Councilor Bearable. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. I say I don't oppose. Aye. No opposition. Motion carries. Was moved and supported at committee level to offer conditional offer of employment to Patrol Officer Ryan Maloney and to approve the agreement as well for a lateral transfer.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor
I'll move to
Johnson
approve.
and supported by Councilor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. City Administrator Britchie Bennett noted that the property located near the Miners Memorial Building could potentially be for sale, and the owner asked the city if we had some interest in purchasing the property. The council discussed the pros and cons in purchasing the property and agreed to discuss it further in a closed session. And it was moved and supported at committee of the whole meeting to close the moved by Councilor Paulson, supported by Councilor Freeland to recess the committee of the whole meeting at 11:45 p.m. And we discussed the real estate negotiations pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 Subdivision 3, and also to discuss the city labor negotiation strategies related to labor negotiations with the AFSCME Local 454 pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 Subdivision 3. We went back into open session, and the meeting of the committee of the meeting was adjourned at 12:55 p.m. So we'll move to item 9.4, which is the committee of the whole meeting that was held on January 19th, 2021. It was a personnel committee of the whole meeting. I was unable to be there, so the meeting was chaired by Vice Mayor Councilor
Actually, Britt,
Baraboo?
Britt chaired it, but I
Okay.
will give the report.
So, okay, so I'll turn the appointment of the 9.4 Committee of the Whole Commission interviews over to our Councilor Bearable. Councilor Bearable?
Yes, we had 3 areas within the city for commission appointments. We had planning and zoning. We had one 3-year term ending February 1st, 2024. After the interview, we had one candidate, and I will make a motion to reappoint Mr. Donald Byrd to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 3-year term.
Moved by Councilor Bearable and supported by Councilor Freely to reappoint Don Byrd to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. While I support reappointing Donald Byrd, I'm going to vote no because I think we should do it 1 year at a time. I think that if we want people to be able to join these commissions, once a person has served their three-year terms, I think they should be a one-year appointment every time. And if nobody applies, then it's an automatic one-year appointment. But I think that if we're going to start encouraging people to apply for these things, we need to give them opportunities every year instead of every 3 years. So while Mr. Bird is doing a wonderful job and did a great job interviewing, I won't support the 3-year term.
Okay, thank you. Just for clarification for the general public, even though it may not be in a written policy or maybe it's in the minutes, traditionally what we've done, and I think it happened in Mr. Bird's case, where he had served a significant amount of time and then he was off the planning and zoning, someone did reapply and then left, and there was an opening and nobody applied, so Mr. Bird reapplied. And prior to this, there was a understanding that he would continue to serve, or that individual would continue to serve up to 3 years unless another individual was interested in the planning and zoning position, which we would continue to advertise for. But that's something that is not in policy, but it's a process that we've used in the past to Councilor Johnson's concern about the additional 3-year term. So, but it was moved and supported at committee level to reappoint Don Bird to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2024. Was there a motion to do in support of that? There was a motion and support on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Pam, would you please take the roll call in rotating fashion?
Paulson,
Aye.
Yondich,
No.
Aye.
Johnson.
Sorry, it's hard, you cut in and out. No.
Oh, okay, sorry. Baronzelli,
Right, turn your light on.
Cuffey,
Aye.
Baraboo,
Aye.
Freedle.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1. Thank you. Councilor Bearable?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The second set of appointments were for the Public Utilities Commission for a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2024. We only had one applicant. This was a reappointment application by Mr. James Petrosky. He has not overstepped any timeframes for 3 consecutive terms. So I'll make the motion that we reappoint Mr. James Petrosky to the Public Utilities Commission for a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2024.
Mayor.
Moved by Councilor Bearable and supported by Councilor Barnzelli to reappoint Mr. James Petrosky to the Public Utility Commission for a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2024. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, and the last commissions had a large number. We had 3 open slots for the Park and Recreation Commission, and we had, I believe, 7 applicants, if I remember correctly. So we went through the process of interviewing all 7 of the potential appointments to the Park and Recreation Commission for 3-year terms ending February 1st, 2024. At that time, and I believe I can make it all in one motion, we moved from that committee to reappoint Gabe Zika and appoint Stephen Carlson and Marlise Riffle to the Parks and Recreation Commission for 3-year terms ending February 1st, 2024, and that's my motion.
Okay, motion by Councilor Bearable. Is there support?
Or for discussion?
Support by Councilor Johnson for further discussion. Further discussion, Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't see this earlier. I could not have made that motion. I was not present during this portion of the meeting, so I did not make that motion in committee level. I had left to go pick up Cody at 5, so by the time I got back, the appointments had been made separately. So I don't know who made that motion, but it was not me.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Johnson. Pam, could you refer back to your minutes? Is this accurate that you had in your minutes of Counselor Johnson making the motion?
I was not aware that he left. The sound that day was very bad and I could not hear, so I am not sure who actually made it.
Okay, does any member of the committee of the whole personnel that was at that meeting recall who made the motion to approve? Does anybody recall?
And also, I do not have it noted that he left the meeting, so I was not aware of that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you, Pam.
I don't believe, Mayor, it makes any difference because the official action is here today with the motions. We pass those names forward to the council for approval.
Okay, well, it would have to come back from committee as a motion from somebody. So I think,
I don't think so legally. You don't have to, as long as it was unanimously voted on with those members there, and it was.
okay, thank you, Counselor Bearboot. So we'll make a correction to the minutes that Counselor Johnson did not make that motion. We'll try to find out who made that motion. But at any rate, the rest of the committee agreed to move these three names forward for appointment. The reappointment of Gabe Zika to the Park and Rec Commission and new appointments of Steve Carlson and Marlise Riffle to the Park and Rec Commission for their 3-year term ending February 1st, 2024. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Johnson.
Just Pam, I did leave at 5 p.m. because that's, so if that can be amended in the minutes that I did leave at 5 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. We'll make that amendment in the minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And that completes the special committee of the whole meeting for commission appointments.
Okay, and that meeting was adjourned at 5:25 p.m. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 10, commission liaison reports. Does any council have a commission or liaison report they'd like to give this evening? Seeing none, we'll move to item 11, which is
I would just like to.
Go ahead, Councilor Beyondich. Did you have a commission liaison
Thank you.
report?
I was also, yes, I was also I attended by Zoom the meeting that we were just speaking of, and I had to leave. I let Brett know that I was leaving to join the library meeting that evening. And I would just like to tell everybody how impressed I was with Jody at the library. She did a great presentation. The meeting was very informative and very interesting, and it was just a very nice meeting to attend and be kept up to date with all the changes and upgrades that they are working at in the library. So I just want the council to know that she is doing a great job. Things are moving forward in there, and she has great ideas for things to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Beyondich. We look forward to some specifics about that too the next time you come to that meeting. So it looks like I was in there the other day and their shelves are empty. They're redoing there's a lot of work going on in there. So it's refreshing to see some change coming forward there. So we'll move any other commission liaison reports. We'll move to item 11, department head reports. Sherry, do you have a report that you'd like to give?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I just want to update everybody that we have one more report to get into the state for January for last year. And then we're ramping up for our audit, which will start the first early part of April. And we're getting out the 1099s and the W-2s, which right now you can pick them up in the finance office. Otherwise, we will be mailing them out. They have to be postmarked by the 30th.
Thank you, Sherry.
I thought that was extended to February 15th. for the feds? I thought it was. I read that someplace.
We have a deadline and we're going to get them out
Oh,
this
okay,
week.
it's your deadline then,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you. All right. Any other department head reports? Brian, anything else you'd like to offer? I see Eric Wedge back there from DSGW. Nice to see you again, Eric. I just want to say thank you for that presentation on the security system. It was, appreciate all that time and effort you all made in which to provide that to me in clarification of that. So we'll move to item number 12, council reports. Does the city councilor have anything they'd like to report today? Councilor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to point out that the cupola at City Hall is blue to show our support for the frontline workers. It will be blue through the end of the month. And it's when you leave tonight, take a look at it. And it's an honor to be able to show. Got a little press in the paper too about the city being able to show how much we value those frontline workers all over the place. So just. It's one of those things we paid for a year ago, and it's coming into good use even already. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Councilor Johnson. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. There is no other business to come before the city council this evening. We will stand adjourned to our next council meeting, which is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021, at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Be safe. We stand adjourned.